So there are so many graduations taking place year round, and if you'd like to see how I transformed this plain black graduation cap into this lovely, sparkly, pretty nurse graduation school cap, keep watching this video. Hey YouTube, so today in this video I am going to be customizing this black plain graduation cap. I'm just showing you a few of the things that I will be adding to this cap. So I have some paper flowers. I picked these flowers up from Hobby Lobby. I also have some glitter cardstock paper, and also let me just show you really quickly. This is the inspiration. This is the photo that I was sent, and I had to like really study it and try to figure out how I can get it as close as possible, because when people ask me to do something and they have like a reference photo, I always say I cannot do it exactly like how that person did it. I can do it, but I'll add my own twist. And if they let me know that that's okay and that's fine, then we're good to go, you know? So, because you never know how the skill level is, or if you can find the exact font that the person used, the materials, the paper, or just adding you just want to add your own twist, period, you know? So it looked fairly simple, but it kind of gave me a run for my money. I'll let you know what parts were kind of like challenging for me, but in the end result, she absolutely loved it. So let's get started. As you can see, I already have everything cut out. So if you didn't see the picture that I posted, the reference photo, it says trust in your journey. Now, in the words journey are the two letters RN. So those letters are bigger and they're a different font, just to really bring attention to the letters RN, because she's graduating from nursing school. So I Googled the picture, I pulled it up, and this has been done many times. Now, I'm not exactly sure who the original creator is, but I saw this like all over Google. I saw it on TikTok. I also saw it on like Pinterest, and Etsy as well. So I was just trying to line everything up before I put on that topper piece. And that cardstock paper is so pretty. I've never bought that particular cardstock paper before. I had to do research. I didn't know if I was going to have to use like permanent sign vinyl to get it on there, or if I was going to be able to iron it on. This is heat transfer vinyl, you guys. Also, there was like a nursing hat on there. There was also like a nurse, what is those things called? A nurse clipboard. And there were a couple band-aids. So I cut out some other pieces to try to make those pieces. Now that's where it got a little tricky for me on this part as well, because I've never like made those type of like pieces. I just usually like use vinyl and just kind of fill it in with rhinestones, but I had to like build these pieces. I was like, how am I gonna make a band-aid? I never made a band-aid before, but when I got to playing around with the settings, I have a Silhouette Cameo, and you have like that little tool in studio space, I think it's called studio space, where you just kind of do the rectangles. I'm like, I'm just gonna do 2 rectangles, make them the same exact size, and I'm going to put a smaller rectangle inside one of them, peel that out, put some white behind it, and it's gonna be a band-aid. It kind of already looks like a band-aid. The person who made the original on the photo, it kind of looks like they used some other type of like rubbery type of craft paper. I'm not sure, but I just used vinyl, and I wanted it to be a little thicker. So later on, I did end up adding some felt material. You can get like some felt material, probably like from Dollar Tree or something. I got mine off Amazon. I had it for another project that I had in mind and didn't use it, so it came in handy. So this is me just trying to map out my pieces before I iron on or glue on anything. I wanted to make sure everything was like mapped out properly, because I ended up cutting stuff out a little bit too big. I went back and I had to cut stuff out smaller. We'll get to the parts that were like really tricky for me, but I'm just kind of working on my pieces. Okay, so here I am working on the Band-Aid piece, and I'm just trying to make sure, and I'm using my iron. I do have a heat press, but for me, using this iron was just a little bit more simpler for me. Now, you know how the heat transfer paper does have like a backing sheet? On some of it, I didn't pull the backing sheet off because I wanted it to be firm. I didn't just want it to be just a thin piece of vinyl just floating on there. I left some of that on. Now here, I am trying to make the little clipboard. As you can see, I didn't make my little cutout for the outside triangle part. I didn't make that wide enough. So some of the stuff I had to go back and redo it, and I did it off camera because I was having some issues with my camera battery. Anywho, this is the one that I'm showing you, but it ended up being different on the actual final result of the graduation cap. But what I'm doing is I'm cutting out a thicker type of glitter vinyl. And again, I left the backing sheet on it so it could have some type of thickness to it. I thought this was going to turn out right because it looks okay like right now. But once I went ahead and put her name on it, it was a little too wide. I didn't like how it was overlapping. Her name was like overlapping on the sides of the frame. And it was supposed to be, like I said, like a nurse clipboard. So I was just going to cut out that extra white on the edges. And you see how the name just kind of blends in too much to the gold. I wanted it to be just on the white part only. So I did end up revising this piece. Okay, so I was pretty satisfied with the Band-Aids and I felt like that they were decent. So I just went ahead and secured it with a little drop of glue, E6000 glue. And on the picture, they were like kind of crossed on each other. And they had like a little small red heart on them. I did end up cutting out a red heart. I feel like the heart that I cut out was a little big. I could have did it smaller now that I think about it. I'll show that part later. Now I'm going to work on this nurse hat. This nurse hat was a little difficult. Again, I used a thicker vinyl. The vinyl that I used on this back area is a white glitter vinyl. You really can't tell probably from just looking at it on this video, but that is a glitter vinyl. So I wasn't going to remove the backing sheet because I wanted to have some thickness to it. So when I added to the actual cap, that it's like kind of firm, you know. And I use my iron on the highest setting and I make sure I cut the steam off. If you're going to use your iron, make sure you take the steam off. See, look at this. It ended up kind of sticking to my wax paper that I put down. Then peeling it off, it just didn't come off straight. And I was just like, okay, this isn't working out. Let me toss this and do something else. You know, it's a process and you got to kind of just weed it out, figure out what works, what doesn't work. So right here, what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I have everything lined up so I can go ahead and cut out the cardstock, the glitter cardstock. Now I did buy more than one just in case, but I did buy two different colors because on the picture, I didn't use the exact same pink they had. So I got this really cute, like kind of darker pink one. And then I have one that was a little more like the neon pink side. She said the colors didn't have to be exact like the picture, but if I can kind of get it close, she was okay with that. So I traced it out with a pencil and here I am just cutting out my square. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm cutting out a little small hole. I definitely don't want to make a mistake and make it too big. I should have had maybe some smaller, more precision scissors. So, you know, the hole on the top of the graduation cap where they put their cute little tassel. So I'm just kind of going around making my hole small and just kind of making a good fitment on there. Eventually, I did go ahead and get my X-Acto knife, but just make sure you're careful with that. Oh, and if you're wondering how much I charge for this, now this was a friend of mine, so I didn't want to really charge her too much, but I charged $50. It looked very simple from looking at the picture, but once I got started, it was a little bit more challenging. A lot more work kind of went into it, but that's fine. I want to say minus the vinyl, because I already had a bunch of vinyl anyway, and I already had the glue. When I went to the craft store to buy the stuff I needed, each bag of the flowers was like 4 + 4. The stuff I bought was probably about 12 to 15 bucks. I spent about 12 to 15 bucks, and I already had some of the other stuff at home. Oh, the rhinestones. See, I had all that other stuff, but the cheapest I saw online for, I'll say this really quickly because I inserted this after the video was already edited, $75 was the cheapest I saw if this going for. Okay, so now that we have that on, I just wanted to lay my wording out and like just get a really good visual, you know, just like look at it, play around with my pieces and just kind of see where I want things to go. Make sure the spacing is good. Make sure it's not kind of like jumbled and like sitting on top of each other. Making sure everything is like lined up good. So I didn't have the exact, so I'm looking at the picture. Now, as you can see, I know it's a glare on my phone screen, but as you can see, they have their band-aids kind of sticking off at the top to the side. I didn't want mine like that, so I kind of brought the band-aids down lower. I didn't want it to be like hanging off. Now I knew that big cap, the nursing hat piece had to stick off. I knew that did. So I made enough room at the top for that. So excuse my angle because I had to stand up and look down at it to kind of make sure everything was like straight as it needed to be. This part was a little confusing for me because, you know, with cursive, me blending the cursive in with the capital non-cursive letters, I wanted to make sure it looked right, but I wanted to also make sure that you could tell the RN was like gonna really stand out, that you can see, okay, bam, RN, okay, I get it. This person is now becoming an RN. You know, I wanted to make sure that that was like super obvious. I had a little bit more space, and now that I look back at it, I definitely could have put the name a little bit higher up, just a little bit more, because remind you, I have to add flowers towards the bottom of this cap. So if I could have moved those two bottom pieces up just a little bit more, that would have gave me more room to add the flowers. Okay, so here's another area where it got a little tricky for me. So I did do a test run to make sure that I could iron on vinyl to this glitter cardstock because it's not like a smooth surface. This stuff is a little rough. I did a test run. I should have showed that, but I did do a test run on a separate piece that I had cut. Now, when it comes to vinyl, you have to make sure that you know your temperature. Some vinyl is cold pull, some of it is warm pull. I think at first it was a little too hot as I was pulling this off. Then I think I waited too long and it got a little too cold to pull off, and it just wasn't cooperating. I had to really take in consideration how cool, how hot, and also the fact that I'm not working on a smooth surface. So as you can kind of see, that R was kind of lifting up as I pulled it off. Some of it I was able to smooth it back down, which wasn't a problem for me because I know that later on in this video, I am going to go over the R in the N with rhinestones and glue. The other letters are not going to have rhinestones and glue on top of them, and I want to make sure that they're laying down properly. So some of my letters, when I pulled them off, were like a complete disaster. So I tried to salvage what I could, but eventually it just got to a point and I just had to pull some of these letters back off, recut them, and reapply them. So this was the point where I was like, oh no, this is not working. This got to go. It got to go. So I pulled off what I can get off, and I was like, oh my goodness, I hope once I pull this off that there's not like just some patch of glitter missing. And it wasn't. So I'm really grateful for that, which is why I did not glue the topper down. So I suggest if you're working on something like this, do not glue that topper down until everything on there is perfectly set and final and looking good, spaced out right, and everything is like how it should be. So just in case, I could just pull it right off, get another one, recut everything, iron everything back on. So we're at the point where I was like, okay, I can't. I just can't. So I'm pulling it off. I'm using my little picker and I'm pulling this stuff off. Okay, and I'm back. Here we are. I'm back. I sized things, I think, a little bit differently, but I had to cut a fresh piece. The T was the only part that gave me an issue for this one. The RUST was perfectly fine. I just wanted to make sure everything was lined up good, because I think what I'll do next time too, I'll have to go ahead and order some heat tape. Heat tape is what some people use to hold things in place, especially people who do like lamination. No, I meant to say sublimation. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. I haven't learned how to do that yet. I'm interested in it. But once I get some more time to do that, I want to work on it. I'm going to get a printer, invest in the stuff. But I have a lot of stuff. I like crafting, and stuff gets a little cluttered. And I have a thing about ordering a lot of stuff sometimes when I'm excited about something. And I really don't have space to be buying another device and more stuff. But eventually I would like to learn sublimation. So, okay, here we are. This time I timed it better with the heat. As you can see, it's coming together. It's nice and flat. Everything is looking good. So now I'm feeling a lot better about things. And I'm just going to go ahead and get these band-aids put on there. That's the heart I was telling you about. On the actual reference photo, the heart is, I feel like the heart is a little bit smaller. What I noticed also just now, just looking, the band-aids are rounded on the photo. Mine are squared off. Okay, so here's the nursing or medical hat right here. I have this piece of felt material that I was telling you about earlier in the video. And at first I was going to trace this out, but I'm like, no, this is just a little small piece of felt. I'm going to iron this first piece on, which is, I think that's either just some regular, I think that's like just some regular heat transfer vinyl or maybe glitter. And I cut out the outline of the black outline of the actual cap. So I'm just going to go ahead, iron this on, but first I'm just going to cut off the edges so you can't see that extra excess. This is so I can have a thicker piece. Like I said, you guys, I'm not sure exactly what the paper is called, that rubbery paper that they made in the original reference photo. but I don't have that, so I used what I had and kind of did added my own twist. Again, I did not guarantee that I can have this looking exactly like the one on the photo. I didn't want to do that because I knew that I probably couldn't get it like that. I just did it my way. Oh, and this brown sheet, if you're wondering what that is, that's called Teflon paper. And that's just a really good protectant if you're ironing things on clothing or just ironing things on with heat transfer and stuff like that. It's just good to have that Teflon sheet. I was a little nervous about the layering. I'm not really good at layering. This is my first time layering some vinyl, for real, because I see people do those really cute designs and they have to layer on 7 different things to put together like a beautiful character. I don't think my hands are sturdy enough for that, but shout out to you people who know how to layer some vinyl. Shout out to you. But I just went ahead and put the red little, what is it? The little cross. I put that directly on top of the black cross to get it to be red, to look more like a nursing hat like the one in the photo did. And like I said, the original clipboard I made, I didn't like the way the words were a little big over the clipboard area, so I just kind of did it differently this time. I could not find my glitter to do the same type of outline border as I had earlier. My glitter vinyl somehow just disappeared and I literally was just using it. That is so annoying. So I just had to figure out how to make it similar and still look like a clipboard. So yeah. And by the letters being so small, sometimes it's just really difficult when those letters are small. It's hard to peel it off. Okay, now we're on to the flowers. As you can see, these were about, I think it said $3.99 a piece. These flowers are really cute. Now, in the photo, there's 3 different color flowers. There's a pink flower, a light pink flower, and then there's white flower. So I'm just kind of laying them on here, just trying to see how I'll space them. This particular flower had the wire pieces on the backs of them. I cut those off because I didn't need those and I knew I was going to be gluing these down. The back of them were not like exactly flat. I wish they were. It would have been a lot easier to do with. These say paper flowers. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I'll just mix up some dye and dip them and then let them air dry. No. I was like, you know what? Since it says they're paper flowers, I have some Sharpies. I have pink and light pink. Let's just go ahead and color them with Sharpies. Now, at first, I thought, okay, this may work. I did the first flower and it was kind of okay. But I ended up not liking the pink. The pink was not what I imagined it would be. But when I painted it or colored it in with this Sharpie, it kind of was okay. And then it wasn't. So I was like, no, this is a little too orangey for me. So I was like, okay, let me move on to the darker color flower. This one had a different hue or a different also thickness of color. And it looked like I had tried to color it in. And it didn't work for me either. So I had to go a different route, y'all. I had some kind of like a magenta color Rust-Oleum paint, spray paint. I went right on outside. I sprayed it on there, tried to see, okay, what is this looking like? I was like, oh, okay, I can handle this color. I think this is nice. So I just went ahead and I did a little bit of spray, and I kept going. I just had to turn it different angles to make sure the spray paint got in between all the petals. Then if you're going to do this, make sure you flip them over and spray paint the backs as well. I didn't have too much time to let this like dry overnight or anything, so I just used a blow dryer and let the paint dry, and it was good. Okay, so I feel like we at a point. I got everything ironed on. It's looking good. It's looking decent. And I am now ready to glue this bad boy on. I'm using some E6000 glue. I'm putting a hefty amount, but not too crazy because I don't want it to ooze out the sides and get messy. You know how that E6000 can be. But I wanted to make sure I smoothed it around pretty good so it wouldn't be lumpy. But this was some pretty thick cardstock, so it didn't like have like lumps throughout it. And E6000 is very dependable, so that's what I used. Then I just kind of took my hands and just kind of smoothed it over. Okay, so now we are gluing the pieces down. I'm taking a little bit of E6000 and I'm just making sure everything is placed where I want it to be placed. Also, another thing, and I meant to say this earlier in the video, very, very important. Make sure that the widow's peak looking area and the scrunched up part is in the places where it needs to be. I call it the widow peak area so I can know in my mind that that goes towards the front. The part that has like the scrunched up part that kind of hugs the back of your head when you put it on goes in the back. I had to make sure I did not have this backwards because that would not have been a good thing at all. So make sure you're putting it on the way that it's going to be facing when they wear it to graduation. Okay, so now I am going to trim the edges with white 8mm pearls. And I'm using a wax pickup tool because it's very convenient. It makes it a lot easier to go ahead and pick up your pearls or rhinestones or whatever it is you desire to add. It makes it a lot easier to add them on. I love using wax pickup tools. You can get them on Amazon. I'll have a link to where you can get one from. I know some people like to use tweezers. I don't know how you do it, but the wax pickup tool is a lot faster, a little more accurate in my opinion. So I'm just going to trim this along the edges until I get down far enough to where we're going to start adding the flowers. Okay, now we are adding the flowers, and I'm going to use a hot glue gun. I'm using a hot glue gun because these are made of paper, and I just felt like that was the best thing to do. Now look really quickly at the bottom of the bigger size flower. You see how it's nice and flat? Flat. There's no little wire metal piece coming out the bag. These are flat. Oh, how I wish all the flowers were made like this. And the only reason why I use one of these flowers is because on original design, there were smaller flowers coming down the sides, and that one center flower was bigger. So that's why I just used one of those. That one was very easy to place there. Now looking back, this is how I can see that I have a little bit of space where I could have moved everything up, because as you can see, once the flowers get higher, they'll start to kind of cover up. I didn't want to have it like cover her name and the year and everything. So I had to place the flowers at a weird angle to where they were like kind of angled to the side more, almost kind of hanging off a little bit. But I used some really good hot glue sticks. I used Gorilla Glue kind, and those are really good. And then it gave me a run for my money, and it was frustrating, so I kind of added those on, and I had some issues with my battery. I did those off camera for the most part, but I did add like some cute little pearl designs to put in the middle of them. But I had to kind of like smush them, not smush them, but like kind of flatten them and put them towards the edge, because it kept covering up the information, her name and the year. And I was like, no. So I have a total of 7 flowers on here, and then I'm just kind of closing it off with the pearls right here. I'm almost finished, thank goodness, because I ran into so many different challenges. And I think this is like my 3rd or 4th cap that I've done. And it's crazy because all of them were for nurses. Nurses really represent. They don't play. Shout out to all the nurses out there. And now I'm going to add the rhinestones to the letter R and the letter N just so we can make sure that those are bold and standing out and blinging and representing that she is now an RN. Okay, you guys, here is the final finished result of this nursing school graduation cap. Although it was challenging, I really like the way it turned out. I think it's very pretty. I love pink. It's very sparkly, very glittery, and I learned some things making this. I like the idea of making the little pieces. I really like the best piece that I like is the hat. I like the nursing medical hat on top. And the flowers just made it really dainty and cute. I really like that. She absolutely loved it. I was hoping that she was going to like it. She absolutely loved it. And it made me feel very good that she was satisfied with it. It was a really good friend of mine, daughter-in-law. So I was like, okay, this is great. And I'm proud of her graduating from nursing school. What this made me learn and realize, when I realized that I can iron on heat transfer vinyl to glitter cardstock paper, it opened up my mind to different things that I like to do as far as craft projects. I feel like I want to make customized birthday cards or like thank you cards because I love this glitter cardstock paper. It is so pretty. I bought multiple sheets for other things that I want to do, but I want to make birthday cards. We celebrate birthdays like in a Sunday school at my church, and I just think it'd be so cute to make customized cards. You can make them say whatever you want. So that was something that I got out of this. Like, okay, I like this little cardstock paper, but I hope this video was helpful to you. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you stayed to the end. I know this video was a little long-winded. This video is about 40 minutes long. It was longer than that. I had to chop it down, but I hope that it helped you figure out if you want to do this similar design. If you're going to graduate and you want to do something that you saw online, or if you're a crafter and you customize things for people and you just want to have an idea, if you wanted to know if you could just put heat transfer vinyl on cardstock paper. Learning that for me was like a big deal. So it's just good to see how you can do different things and make things work out. I don't take custom orders a lot from people at all because I get a little frustrated, and plus I don't have the time to do it. But if someone I know reaches out to me, I do it personally. But I did enjoy doing this. It was very challenging. It was a little frustrating, especially with the letters not ironing on properly. I'm glad I got it done. I'm glad that she liked it. But thanks you guys for watching this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did like it. Share it on Facebook or send it to someone who may be interested. Thanks again, you guys, for watching. Bye-bye. Hey guys, check out my website, myroyalradiance.com. And there's always a coupon code available with a special discount, Royal Beauty 10 off. Use it today. We have some updated styles of luxury inspired faux leather fabric. And when you buy 3 sheets of fabric, you'll get the 4th one free of charge. We also have these beautiful iron-on patches available and these beautiful planner charms that are so versatile. You can use these to decorate your cell phone cases, compact mirrors, or you can turn these into brooches or croc charms. More beautiful sparkly gold iron-on patches for your Crocs or denim jackets, and the latest item we have are the brooches for the slouch socks. We also have luxury inspired Crocs charms. Iron-on transfers are also available. Check out our website, see our tactical defense, where we do have in-waistband gun holsters, belly bands, magnetic holsters, and a lot more.